Aloha and good morning. Welcome to beautiful Makaha Beach. I have a good show for you today. I just came back from the Sundance Film Festival and I had an opportunity to be in the same room as Quentin Tarantino, director of Kill Bill, Inglourious Bastards, Hateful Eight, to name a few. So there's a lot of things that I learned through the conversation, but here, check it out.
Hey, everybody.
Hey. Hi.
Slightly more than a spattering. I'm in no hurry to actually jump into production of a movie. I've been doing that for 30 years. And I'm just really kind of just enjoying being a man of letters in a really wonderful way, because next month, my son turns 5. And I have a 2.5-year-old daughter. So it's wonderful just to, I split my time between Israel and America. So when I'm in America, I'm writing.
And I got that from you. And I think what's been interesting too is that it's been affecting the way you've been writing about things. You've been taking like a...
But not new movies. I mean, maybe I've seen 6 of the official new movies this year. But I'll see 6 movies from the 30s that I've never seen, like in a week, and it ain't shit. I mean, that's easy. I'll go through a DVD website that specializes in old movies, and I'll see a film that I've never heard of, Safari, with Douglas Fairbanks Jr. and Madeline Carey. Oh, boom, okay, I'm there, I'll buy it, boom, just buy it, sight unseen. That has opened up an entire new avenue of movies for me, and I would recommend it, especially if you like old movies. This is something I learned, and it's a special thing, was I stopped being prejudiced against actors I don't think I like. You know, you have these preconceived notions of actors. Nah, I don't like Fred MacMurray at that time. I don't like Fred MacMurray at all. All right, maybe Shaggy Dog Time, but that's it. You know, I don't want to see him in fucking movies in 1933 when he was a stud. Fuck that shit, you know? But I mean, he's a good example, you know. But just not stopping yourself from watching movies because you have a preconceived notion of an actor, and especially if it's an actor of the 30s and 40s, your preconceived notion really is based on very little, very, 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 very little. And I realized that in many of the cases, I was wrong. They actually did have something to offer. There was something interesting about them. Maybe not in the cherry-picked movies that have survived. I mean, me, you, Pauline Kael, both have a healthy disregard for Robert Cummings. But when he was a young contract player at Universal, I would watch the movies he did before he became a star. He was actually really quite engaging, and that is a fucking shocker. If you're only basing it from Love That Bob or Saboteur.
Yeah.
Saboteur. You know, I mean, it's a whole fucking different story. But then there's the actors that I love from that period, like Anne Harding that I just discovered this year. It became like my favorite.
Or Gail Patrick.
Gail Patrick, yeah. Okay, so Anne Harding, Gail Patrick, just forget about it. I'll see anything with them. John Howard, I'll watch any movie of his, and I want to see all the films that John Howard did. And it's just kind of never ending. And then, you know, in the world that we live in with like so much stuff available on YouTube, now normally if I can get a DVD, I will watch a DVD. But it's just really, really, really invigorating. Now, the thing that's really fun as far as reliving my childhood is my son can't quite handle a movie from beginning to end yet. That's just, he's used to watching things in 15-minute segments or at the most 26, 25-minute segments. But the thing is, he's really, really into his action figures. He loves his action figures. And what's really, really cool is he's reintroducing me to the Marvel and the DC characters. Because he's not coming from the movies whatsoever. He kind of knew who Spider-Man was before he even really kind of knew who Spider-Man really was. And then I buy him vintage toys. And so I never get him a toy. If he has any toy that has a picture, that has the face of an actor from a new movie, I didn't fucking buy it to him. And I try to fucking get rid of it if somebody bought it for him. So all of his characters are the original characters, but I introduce him to characters. There's no Luke Cage cartoon out there for him to watch, but I've introduced him to Luke Cage. I've introduced him to Tigra. All right. He has no idea who that guy playing Falcon is. His Falcon is red and white and is the 70s Falcon. That's the toy that he has. That's who he knows who Falcon is. Even something like I'm in a vintage toy shop and I go, wow, I never really liked the Ghostbusters movies, but they have a whole, but with the real Ghostbusters cartoon, they had a great line of toys, just absolutely great line of toys. And I go, oh, well, he doesn't know what this shit is, all right? But let me buy the toys, all right? And I'll keep them. And if he actually ends up not responding to them, I'll just keep them, all right? Really cool. All right. And then I started showing him a couple episodes of the cartoons, and he really responded. And in the cartoon, the black guy, Winston, is the coolest guy in the cartoon. Not in the movies, but in the cartoon. He's absolutely cool, and he's Leo's favorite. He's absolutely Leo's favorite. And
between this and Luke Cage, I'm liking your son a whole lot.
Oh, yeah, No, it's kind of crazy. It's not crazy, but it's serendipitous. He has an affinity for black males. There is this thing, he is drawn to the black male action figures. He's drawn to their masculinity. And like in the case of something like Luke Cage, I realized that, okay, now if I just drop a toy on him that he has no idea what the fuck's going on, I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. He's always excited about getting it for a second, but that doesn't mean he's gonna play with it. I got him a Blue Beetle, and he was like, what the fuck is this? So then I think, okay, wait a minute. I gotta be more clever about this, all right, So I was like, hey, Leo, I gotta let you know, one of my favorite character growing up, my favorite comic book character was Luke Cage. And they got this really cool, it's a vintage toy, but this really cool Luke Cage doll. And so I show him a picture of the doll. I go, now, I'm gonna get it for me. I'm getting it for me. But if you want him, I'll give it to you. And he's like, yeah, I want him. All right, and he's not that down with the female characters. All right, yeah, he's a 5-year-old boy. His fucking class at school is like, 75% female. He's sick of girls. All right, and the house is full of girls except for me. So I buy a Tigra, and then I just put it on my desk. And so when he comes into the office, boom, he goes right to the toy. What's that, Ava? Oh, well, that's Tigra. That's a really cool character. I really like her a lot. Now, I don't know if you'll like her, but, I like her, and so I got her for myself to keep on the desk. Well, I like her. Well, then you can have her, And so when we do our adventures and our battles, which are that's every night at bath time, or for 2 hours it's just one scenario after another. Like, I have not stopped writing scenarios. They're just for an audience of one. And okay, the one exception to the actor thing is the Sam Jackson, Nick Fury. Is the Sam Jackson Nick Fury, and I wrote Sam Jackson and go, Sam, I'm still doing your dialogue. I'm still writing dialogue for you, but it's just for my son. Hey man, okay, everything starts with hey man.
It's funny because there's so much to talk to you about with this, but
look. The best movie I've seen this year is The Silent Bogest. It's a fucking masterwork. It is absolutely beautiful, and I've gotten over any trepidation I had about reading the novel. So now I watched. We just had a huge event at the New Beverly in Los Angeles where we got the Library of Congress to lend us the only, and I've been exploring the different versions of The Prisoner's End. Then I read The Prisoner's End, and that was really terrific. And now I'm reading Beau Sebair, which is the second of the Bogest trilogy, and then I'll read Bogest. And so just reading these, they're way above pulp, but they're not great literature at the same time. They're somewhere in the middle, but there's nothing dusty about them. I'm surprised at how engaging that they truly are.
But they were written for an audience that wanted to be distracted by the books rather than looking for a book to keep them from being distracted. So there's a pleasure in wordplay in those books, in all those Bogest, especially, we talked about this last night, in Bogest especially, there's a real sense of fun in that.
Well, I've gotten to the thing where I didn't really do this before, where like I'm underlining the books. So I read with a pen, even though I'm getting like first editions or like third editions or something, Well, if I get a first edition of Last of the Mohicans, I'm not going to put a fucking pen to it. All right,
It should come with an armed guard if you get a copy of Last of the Mohicans.
That should be shot. All right. But I got a beat up like third edition of Beau Sebair, which was in conjunction when they did the movie. That's kind of a beat up version, but it still looks good and still looks terrific. And I knew that there was a better one on the market, and so I realized that this stuff is too good. I need to really underline these lines. There's an engagement with the book when you read it with a pen by you, and so you underline the special lines, and so it was like I called my assistant, okay, get that really good one because I want to fucking mark this one up.
But that's the way you live with your stuff anyway. Your books at home have dog-eared pages in them, these things. Yeah. You don't buy stuff to collect. Even though you collect stuff, you don't buy things to collect. You buy things to read and to touch and to own.
Well, no, that's the thing. It's like I'm working on trying to get a first edition of Last of the Mohicans, and I might have to read it with rubber gloves, but I'm going to read it. I'm not going to, that's the point, is to read it, not to just be happy that I have it and put it in a glass case. I want to read it.
But, that, to me, that sort of sense of the tactile, having to get your arms around stuff is who you've been all the time anyway, but that you're in this phase of your life now where you're omnivorous rather than being selective about the stuff that you've been eating has been really interesting.
Well, you're one of the few people I can share it with. So when we do talk, and we talk, usually a few times, 4 or 5 times when I'm gone, 4 or 5 times a month. All right, and then it's just vomit when I've had 2 weeks worth of shit to talk to you about.
But even when you were here, it's still that kind of thing. And I think your life has taken this interesting turn where it's all about really sharing stuff rather than just think you got to watch this, saying this is why I like this because it connects here to this and connects here to this, and there's this looking at everything in a way you hadn't really done before. Even though you had a wide expanse, you were really selective in ways that you aren't anymore. And as we, for example, followed the career of Gail Patrick, who did all kinds of stuff and then ended up becoming a lawyer. It's crazy to do.
No, learning about her life and just watching all the different movies that Gail Patrick did. By the way, if you don't know what we're talking about, Gail Patrick is the movie you will remember her from is she's the bitch sister in My Man Godfrey.
But she's good in that because
she's amazing in that, and I'm kind of rooting for her against blithering idiot Carol Lombard.
But when she has her turn, it's a real turn. Her inflection.
No, but I love her little S&M moment when she makes Godfrey get on his knees and wipe her shoe. That is so fucking delicious. But they have a chemistry together she doesn't have with Carol Lombard, and they were fucking married.
There's a book to be written about that I won't get into. But instead, what I will say is that there's been every time.
No, but sharing that with you, like, oh my God, I love Gail Patrick, and then we were off to the races.
Yeah, but I just find that there are times when people say something, you go, "No, I'm not gonna watch that," and you're not that guy anymore.
No, I'm not that guy anymore.
And I feel like fatherhood has got you there. It opened that door for you more, but you've been moving that way in the last few years anyway. I think it's mostly because you're writing prose more, and it's forcing you to examine yourself in ways that writing and making movies had not. Are you enjoying this? That is forcing this turn in you?
Well, it's like, there's writing prose, there's writing the film stuff I do, and then there's writing screenplays, and the screenplays are just so easy for me. They're so easy. It doesn't mean I don't work hard, but whatever you're really, really good at, there's an ease factor to it. It just is natural. Whatever it is, whatever your strengths are, and you take that for granted. It's very easy for me to get the characters talking to each other, and then it's just off to the races and away they go, and I'm like a court reporter writing it down. But writing prose is harder, and writing the film stuff is far, 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 far harder than that. It's actually made me kind of as much as I make fun of them, it actually made me appreciate critics, because I could never just...
I'm right here.
Yeah, I know. I couldn't just... I guess I could if I was trained to do it for 10 years. But I couldn't just watch 5 movies that week and then intelligently articulate my thoughts that would be compelling to read on those 5 movies. When it comes to choosing movies to write about for cinema speculation or for another volume of it, I can't just choose what I want to write about and then just write about it. There has to be some sort of a point or an argument with the page that I need to have that, as Pauline Kael would say, that would be a compelling reason to read it. And to me, there's no point in writing film criticism unless there's a compelling reason to read it.
But I think what you're writing, though, isn't just film criticism. I think a lot of it is working autobiography. I think you're writing about what I was trying to get at.
Well, now you're talking more also like Pauline Kael. That's what she said, not that I'm in the same class. It's the Elvis Mitchell story. It's always between the lines. And you would have to take this paragraph or these 3 sentences out of 30 or 40 different reviews, but they would tell you the Elvis Mitchell story.
There's a ransom note, set me free. But I don't mean just in that way that she was asking you what, because she just said she wrote too much. It was too hard. If you're writing 10,000 words a month, you didn't have time to go and, I guess for my hobby, I'll go write. And she was pouring herself into it and doing all kinds of other things. I think for you, this really is a kind of working autobiography, because there's you in cinema speculation. There's you in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. There's you in that essay you sent me from the spoilers. Just you're explicating what you're feeling about these things is you're talking about yourself. And
well, isn't that But isn't that where I should be at 61? I mean, that's kind of the thing, is you get to a certain place. And when it's
saying people automatically change? No.
Well, no, you definitely get more reflective, you know? I mean, when it comes to being a filmmaker, I've pretty much done everything I really wanted to do. And I mean, I don't say that in a cavalier way. I say that in a very proud way, you know, but I always equated filmmaking with mountain climbing. And I've climbed my Everest. I've climbed my Kilimanjaro. I've climbed my Fuji. I don't really have any more mountains left to climb as far as that's concerned. I've planted my flag. I've lived through the productions, and I've come out good on the other side, and I'm really, really proud of the achievements. And I think you do get more reflective, and you do think about. I've always been nostalgic about the past, but but now I look at it in a different way, and I hope with a clearer set of glasses, and but to not just go down that old road. Now I'm really interested in the time of cinema before my time, and before the time that was explicitly explored on local television.
Sure, yeah, that was our way in.
Yeah, that was exactly our way in.
That those movies referred to other movies, but we didn't know.
Yeah.
You had a different perspective, and this made you want to really expand that view and see more things, and ask a question about those things. No, I don't think it's automatic that people get reflective when they get older. Sometimes people just move into a shell, and it's very comfy in there with no light and no windows.
Well, it is interesting because, I mean, look, you've known me for a long time. Before I met Daniela, did you ever think I was going to get married?
I mean, gee, I always had hope for you.
Well, I can say the same thing to you, mate.
Thanks for having hope. But I think what's going. What?
No, but that's a direct question, though. I mean, you probably thought no. You thought that no. I guess that ship had sailed, and he had, I was happy. Everything was cool. Everything was great. But I might have been a hard nut to crack, but it was just because I hadn't met the right nutcracker. All right? And I'm really enjoying that analogy. All right?
I think we all are, as a matter of fact, yes.
But no, this is the woman to live my life with. This is the woman to change my life for. This is the woman to have children with. All right? And she's a wonderful mother. And no, this is now, my family is the most important thing in my life.
Well, it's great when life is good, but I think...
No, but not just that. No, but it's just the idea, though, but that's different, because I could have just kept going on in the way I was going on, and everything would have been okay.
But okay, I'm going to posit this, because you were moving that way before that, and I think what this did is, again, give you a foundation to rest on. So you go, oh, now I can really do these things. But it's been happening for a while. And I think part of it, too, is the way. And I think as you're writing these pieces, and you're going to turn to writing theater stuff, and which you've already actually been doing some of that stuff.
No, that's what I'm working on right now, guys. If you're wondering what I'm doing right now, but I'm writing a play, and it's going to be probably the next thing I end up doing.
Well, good night, everybody. I was trying to say that until the end, but I guess this guy knows nothing about climaxes. But it's too easy. But
two kids, I know a little bit about climaxes.
Yeah, especially if nutcrackers are involved. But moving on, 2, 3, 4. I think that, or I want to ask that, if that becomes a way back into making movies, because then you're not trying to compete with yourself anymore. And I think what you've been talking about as I climb these mountains, you were competing with yourself every time you made a film. What's this going to be that this one wasn't? And because I've seen too many drafts that you've thrown out to know that you know a metaphor.
Well, I really enjoy that metaphor, actually. But yeah, I'm not. And it probably would be that. It wouldn't be a mountain climb, it would be an ocean voyage. And I'm going to start using that from here on in. Thank you very much, Mr. Mitchell. Not that this is the first time I've taken a line you've said and made it my own. All right.
I don't know what's in these drinks, but sure makes it easier for you to talk.
But actually, that's actually really clear. Well, we'll see what happens. All right, right now, I'll be about my play, and if it's a fiasco, I probably won't turn it into a movie. But if it's a fucking smash hit, that might be my last movie.
Again, I think you keep saying last at the danger of repeating.
I'm not expecting to live that much longer, and I don't mean that in this weird thing. I mean, I really don't want to be I don't want to be a super old man. All right, I still have a bit of rockabilly in me. All right, I kind of want to go out when I'm not fucking decrepit. Especially since I've done a lot of the things that I want to do. And
that's one of the things you've been saying about family, which we all know to be true. That you found this, I don't want to go to the cliche of movies on life, but it's giving you this other way of thinking about things and this other way of applying yourself.
Yeah, and I don't want my kids fucking changing my diapers, man. That's like fucking bullshit. All right, I mean, look, I've done a lot of stuff, okay. As soon as my daughter is old enough to fucking remember me for the rest of her life, I can fucking sail off. Now, that doesn't mean I want to die. I'm just saying life is not...
You can't have any more of this.
I'm just saying I've done what I wanted to do, and it's not about holding on.
But I'm not asking you to, again, that's why I moved away from mountain climbing and competing with yourself, because you love writing too much, and you love actors too much. And you love actors, and you can't talk to any actor who's worked with you who hasn't talked about it as being a life-changing experience in the most positive way possible. And you're a bit of a rockabilly, and sometimes that means you're a bit of a junkie. And you get that hit from being out there, not the first day, but the 50th day, when you had to cancel this thing and make this thing work, and that thing didn't show up for you.
Well, okay, well, look, that's all very true. Nothing has changed when it comes to production. Production is just as glorious and exciting as it ever was. I have the material, I have the scenes that we're now officially dramatizing them, and I have the actors, and I got to figure out how to do it on camera, and that's all just as delicious and exciting as it was the first day. And editing is pretty much the same thing, all right? That is just really delicious, and now, okay, I've done this, and now theory is gone, and now you've got the tools, make the house. That's all really great. It's everything that exists before it and everything that exists behind. On the other end of it, that I'm just really jaded and just kind of over it. And I remember when I wasn't. I remember when everything was exciting. I remember when being at Sundance was exciting. All right, this is really cool, but I'm not excited about being here. It's fucking cold.
Again, I'm right here.
But the thing is, though, it's just I don't want to be this jaded guy. I mean, I'll just give you an example of that. Where it's like, I would, you go and do the international press tour, and you go to Italy and Spain and France and Germany, and you do the press for those countries, and that was always just really, really exciting for me. And I want 2 days off when I'm doing this stuff, so I can go to the record stores and the used record stores and go walk around and do this and do that and touch base with my friends in Japan and everything. I still do that in Japan. All right, but and then we have the big premiere, and then everybody else is going off and having dinner or something. And no, this is my chance to see it with an audience. Yeah, it's a premiere audience, but nevertheless, it's going to be the closest I come to watching it with a Spanish audience, or watching it with an Italian audience, or a German audience. And so, when it came to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I was at a country, and then I had some friends in the audience, filmmakers, and I've always watched the movie with them. And this time, I introduced the movie, I sat down and watched it for the first 15 minutes just to make sure that, it was playing well, and the laughs were coming where they were supposed to come, and I was like, okay, let's go and get dinner. I'm fucking hungry. Let's go and get dinner. We'll go to the party afterwards. And the whole audience watched me get up and leave. And kind of kicked them in the balls. And I kind of didn't care. I wanted to fucking go get something to eat. I didn't want to watch the movie for the 27th time. All right? I wanted a break. And then the filmmaker friend of mine showed up at the after party, and he looked at me like I betrayed his entire country by leaving. And I did, but I kind of didn't care. and that's when you get out. Yeah. That's when you get the fuck out.
Rebuttal, Your Honor.
No, I gotta pull it off. And here's the thing is. And that's a big fucking deal. That's a big fucking deal pulling this off, and I don't know if I can. So here we go. All right. So that's really exciting, and that's a challenge, a genuine challenge. But making movies. Well, what the fuck is a movie now? Okay, what the fuck is a movie now? What, something that plays in theaters for a token release for 4 fucking weeks. All right. And by the second week, you can watch it on television. I didn't get into all this for diminishing returns. I mean, it was bad enough in 97, all right? I mean, not in 97. It was bad enough in 2019, and that was the last fucking year of movies. All right, and that was a shit deal as far as I was concerned. The fact that it's gotten drastically worse, and that it's a show pony exercise now, the theatrical release. And then in 2 weeks you can watch it on this one and that one. Okay. Theater? You can't do that. Theater? Yeah, they pay a lot of fucking money to get in that seat. But there's no fucking taping it. There's no fucking cell phones. Hello, everybody with a cell phone? Okay. There's no fucking cell phones. You own the audience for that time, for that for that moment. They are all yours. They are in the palm of your hand. And it's not just about doing art. It's about wowing them. It's about giving them a great night out. They've made it worth it for them. Now that to me is fucking exciting. It's the last frontier in a strange way.
Yes, this is we're responding to seeing these people for the first time at the beginnings of their careers, and seeing how the camera took to them, and seeing what that did, and imagining that compact between the screen and the crowd, and that agreement, and what you get to do when you have that audience there waiting to see what you're going to do next, is still a part of the way people respond to your films.
Well, look, that. There's a lot of gratifying things that I can point to my career, but one of the things that being here at Sundance is really made me think about was the fact that our Sundance in '92 was one of the biggest Sundances ever. A good majority of the films that played in competition got theatrical releases, and they weren't token theatrical releases. They actually really got played, and a lot of the filmmakers, did 2, 3, 4 movies that all were theatrically viable. But it's now 30 years later, and I've been able to work at the highest echelon of the film industry, and there still is an excitement for my work, and there still is an excitement of what I'm going to do next. And that's probably that's the greatest trophy of all, because that doesn't happen that often. I mean, negotiating a 30-year career and then to still leave them wanting more? That's, okay, but going back to our touchstone, Pauline Kael, when she retired, 3 years happened, 4 years happened, 5 years happened, 6 years happened, and you think, what did Pauline Kael think about this? What did Pauline Kael think about this movie, and that movie, and this movie, and that movie? And it was insatiable. You wanted to know.
I just called her.
Yeah. We all weren't so lucky. All right. And leaving them wanting more is the game. But few people play it.
I think what this is about too is for me, the thing that keeps you interesting, and I think maybe if I flatter myself, the thing we have in common is that we're both still capable of being excited by things.
In the last 10 years of her life, these other young people discovered her like me and you discovered her. And they write her a letter, and almost invariably she wrote them back. And if they put down a phone number, she called them. And created a correspondence with them. And they're young people. Okay, now, imagining anybody writing now that would stop writing 5, 10 years, and forget about somebody who stopped writing their 10 years Young People's Junior, forget about 40 years Young People's Junior, that are still dying to know what they think. Okay, it's just a different breed. All right, she's 1 in a million, 1 in 9 million. Her and Manny Farber, boom, that's it. And but she talked to these young people. Now, half the time she dismissed young people's thought. Well, they just don't fucking know any better. They don't realize that Pretty in Pink is just a fucking Dina Durbin movie, just with an 80s soundtrack. And she can't sing either. Or it's self-congratulating, which is what she thought most of the youth movies of the 60s were. But she did feel that it was possible that young people could have their finger on the pulse, that a Frank Rich or a Rich Corliss or a Stanley Kaufman just wouldn't fucking get at all. And she wanted to investigate that. And so one of the things was somebody who got in touch with her in the 90s was really into the Hong Kong movies and started sending her some different VHSs of Hong Kong movies. And she watched them. Okay, so he sends her and I don't know who it is, so excuse me for not giving you credit. All right, but he sends her his 3 favorites: Bullet in the Head, Ashes of Time, and Better Tomorrow Part 3. Okay, she doesn't even finish Bullet in the Head. What the fuck is that shit? All right, and Ashes of Time, just forget about it. All right, turns that off maybe after 20 fucking minutes. But really, really liked Better Tomorrow Part 3. Now, which is interesting, because if you were really a fan of that series, you were kind of disappointed by Better Tomorrow Part 3. Because by the time I saw Better Tomorrow Part 3, I had watched at least the shootout sequence of Better Tomorrow Part 2 25 times on VHS. But it was kind of in the situation of Exorcist 2. If it didn't out-puke the first one, then it's going to be disappointing. Well, Troy Hark is not even competing with that, but what he does is he makes a romantic wartime melodrama in the vein of Morocco or something like that, but with two people, in the case of Anita Moy and Chow Yun-fat, that are genuine old Hollywood movie stars in a way that didn't exist anymore in Hollywood. But even more important was Troy Hark didn't direct it with quotes around it.
No, I was just saying, it's a classical style of sort of epic.
He directed it like a fucking RKO director would have directed it. And the audience in Hong Kong accepted it that way.
And I think it helped too that she hadn't really seen the other parts because she didn't know what it was that he was reiterating or the footprints that he was trying to avoid. And she was just responding in terms of filmmaking. Maybe she didn't like Ashes and Time. She said, well, it was worth it if it got us to In the Mood for Love. And she responded to the filmmaking.
I would say Chungking Express, but okay.
Well, again, that's why you two guys argue when you got on the phone with each other. But I think what she, again, that thing that...
I actually don't think she would have liked In the Mood for Love.
She did like In the Mood for Love.
Oh, well, then I'm wrong. Then I don't know everything.
I guess that's a great place in it. Let's thank Quentin Tarantino for being here. And by the way, you came a long way to do this. I thank you so much for doing this.
Welcome to my channel. My name is PＡKE Salmon. Thank you for tuning in.